A very good evening. It's the 12th of October 2023. Welcome to the Prime Time News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayaka.
And I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Before we head on to your stories in detail, first, your headlines.
Heavy showers expected in many areas tonight. Several areas in Gaul, Mathura and the Central Hills inundated. 7 police and STF personnel injured in a landslide on the Southern Expressway. Highway remains closed. MP Dhammika Pereira speaks of plans to build the country.
මම ඇත්තටම හදන්නේ දේශපාලනයෙන් බෙදිච්ච රට අධ්‍යාපනයෙන් එකතු කරන්න.
The JVP comments on ways to win a presidential election.
ධම්මික පෙරේරා බැරි නම් කෝටිපතියෝ බැරි නම් මෙතෙක් මොකෙක් හරි බලගේ පැත්තෙන් ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා දාපියව. අපිට විශ්වාසයි මේ රටේ ජනතාව ඒ ගේන මොකා වුණත් මාලිමාවට කතරේ ගහලා පරාද කරනවා.
An agreement on key principles and indicative terms with China Exim Bank on a debt treatment of $4.2 billion in debt. Veteran actor Jackson Anthony bids farewell.
In your top story for tonight, the Met Department says that an increase in rainfall across the island can be expected from the day after tomorrow.
The department says that showers or thunder showers may be experienced in many parts across the island in the evening or at night.
The forecast of the Met Department says that several parts of the Uva, Central and Eastern provinces may experience heavy rainfall of over 75 millimeters. The highest rainfall in the 24 hours that ended at 8:30 am today was reported from Bogavan Thalaba. The National Building Research Organization says that the public should be vigilant about earth slips and cracks on soil due to heavy rains. The landslide warning issued covering divisional secretariats of 7 districts was extended once again this evening. The warning covers many divisional secretariats of the Gaul, Mathura, Hambantota, Kalutara, Ratnapura and Badulla districts. The Irrigation Department states that due to heavy rainfall in many areas of the Mathura district in the past 24 hours, the flood situation in many areas including Akurassa, Malimbada and Theagoda may increase again. Residents of low-lying areas around the Ging River are requested to be vigilant in this regard. The Akurana town along the Kandy Jaffna A9 road was inundated by more than 2 feet of water due to heavy showers. As a result, vehicular movement has been severely hampered. News First correspondents said Bele Khade along Ambathanna Pujapiti road is being flooded due to the heavy rains. The body of the child who went missing after being swept away by a torrent of water in Deltota, Galaha in Kandy yesterday was found today. The student who resided in Little Valley, Deltota was preparing to sit for the grade 5 scholarship exam this year.
He is sitting for the scholarship exam this year. I waited for him to return until 4 and called his friends' houses. He returns home on his route every day. When I went to look, I found his bag. He had tried to cross the bridge. I lost my child today. This should not happen to any other child.
News First correspondent said the body of the student was found about 5 kilometers from the place where the child was suspected to have been swept away by the current. The student's body was sent to the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital for the post-mortem examination. Diwan Khan Deepan was the eldest child of the family.
Sluice gates of the Vimalasundara Reservoir were opened yesterday due to heavy rains that are being experienced by the Northern Bridge catchment areas of the Central Hills. Engineers in charge said that this could result in the increase of water levels of the Kalani River. Another sluice gate at the Upper Kotmale Reservoir was opened today due to the heavy rains being experienced by the catchment areas. Engineers in charge informed residents near the Kotmale Oya below the dam to be vigilant as the sluice gates of the reservoir would automatically open if heavy rainfall continues. The Kesalgamua Oya, which is a main tributary of the Castlereagh Reservoir, overflowed due to the heavy rainfall in Bungavat Talava. Due to this, many low-lying areas of Bungavat Talava as well as the grounds of St. Mary's National School were inundated. A house in Sinnarani Vatta in Norelia was damaged due to heavy rains. The engineering office in charge of the Polgolla Mahaveli Dam says that steps were taken to open 6 sluice gates of the Polgolla Mahaveli Dam and release 13,500 cubic meters of water per second to the Victoria Reservoir. The reason for this was the heavy rainfall experienced by the upper catchment areas of the Mahaveli River from last evening to this morning. The engineer office says that the residents above and below the Polgolla Mahaveli Dam should be vigilant when engaging in activities associated with the Mahaveli River. This is a landslide that occurred along the Pupurasa Galaha main road. A landslide occurred in the Ambevilla road which runs across Rendapula in Norelia due to the heavy rainfall experienced since early this morning. News First correspondent said that a three-wheeler which was travelling at the location which experienced a landslide toppled into a precipice which is about 60 feet deep. There were 4 people on board at the time, but fortunately no one was severely injured. A parapet wall and a part of a house were destroyed in a landslide which occurred in Ratmalgasella in Valasbedda, Kiniagama in Bandaravela. This resulted in the complete blockage of Valasbedda main road and also caused heavy damage to the water and electricity supply systems of the area. A house was damaged due to the collapse of a boundary wall in Attalapitia, Bandaravela. The Rangoda Hill in Imatua Divisional Secretariat collapsed on the Southern Expressway last evening near the 101st kilometre post. A group of officials deployed for highway security were injured in the landslide. The landslide occurred in 2 parts, several minutes apart, and a police sergeant and 6 STF personnel were injured in the second landslide. Police said that the injured sergeant is in critical condition. Senior geologist of the Landslide Research and Risk Management Division of the National Building Research Organisation, Laksiri Indratilaka, said that the Road Development Authority was instructed to remove the mounds of earth that had fallen on the highway. Road clearance activities were ongoing this evening and the road still remains closed.
මේ සිදුවීම නිසා සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මාර්ගයේ ගමනාගමනයේ එම අවස්ථාවෙම අවහිර වුණා හම්බන්තොට දෙස සිට ඒ කියන්නේ
This incident blocked traffic on highways. Vehicles travelling from Hambantota and Mathura can exit the highway from the Imaduwa interchange. If they need to travel to Colombo, they can re-enter the highway at the Pinaduwa interchange. Vehicles travelling from Colombo to Mathura should exit the highway at the Pinaduwa interchange and travel to Imaduwa using alternative routes to re-enter the highway at the Imaduwa interchange.
ඉමදුව දක්වා ගොස් ඉමදුව ඇතුළීමේ මාර්ගයෙන් ඇතුළීමේ පිවිසුම් මධ්‍යස්ථානයෙන් පිවිසීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා.
This was the situation in Nilvala Mathura this evening. The Panadugama water gauge recorded a level of 6.79 meters, which exceeds the flood level. The Mathura Kamarupitiya road was inundated, particularly in the Nadukala area, affecting the surrounding lowlands. As a result of houses flooding in such areas as the Nadukala, Bandattara, Naimbala and Tudava areas, people sought temporary shelter at various locations. Despite the floods, children made their way to school today. Numerous areas including Kadduwa, Malimbada, Valletota, Katuwangoda, Narangala and others were inundated as well.
පරණ ගම් වතුර ගලලා මාසයක් අපි යට වෙලා හිටියේ. ඒ ගම් වතුරටම අලුතෙන් වැහපු වතුර එකතු වෙලා දැන් මහම ගම් වතුර වෙලා මාස දෙකක් තිස්සේ අපි කොටු වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
Schools have been closed for 3 weeks. Look, even now only 6 inches of water has receded. The water decreases at a rate of only half an inch per day. Access roads necessary for facilitating the removal of debris from the Nilvala River Canal near the salinity barrier in the Mathura-Piladua area are currently being prepared. This is under the direction of the Army Corps of Engineers. The Irrigation Department continues to release more water from the pumping stations, causing local residents to endure flooding for over a month. Additionally, the road of the Mathura-Akurasa main road, including the Unella intersection, Palatua, Telijavila Kadukanna, Tulapella Junction and the road in the Paradua area were inundated. In Hakmana Kongala West, a landslide on the Unagala mountain forced the evacuation of 16 families from their homes in Mathura. These families are currently facing difficulties in finding suitable alternative accommodations and their homes have been severely damaged.
Speaking at the 54th annual session of the United Nations Human Rights Council, TNA MP Selvaraja Gajendran requested the third committee members of the General Assembly to refer Sri Lanka to International Criminal Court.
Judge Saravana Raja submitted his resignation letter to the Judicial Service Commission on 23rd September and subsequently left the country. He admitted in his letter that he was receiving death threats. Indeed, MP Sarath Veerasagara, a suspected war criminal, openly threatened him in Parliament that Sri Lanka is a singular Buddhist country and that a Tamil judge must know his place. In particular, last Sunday, the mothers of infants disappeared were attacked by the police who wanted to prevent them to participate to a demonstration. Tamil farmers are being chased out and destroyed their livelihood by state-sponsored Sinhala Buddhists from Mailathamada and Madhavana grazing lands. Is this the reconciliation process proposed by the Sri Lankan government? We request to the third committee members of the General Assembly to refer Sri Lanka to ICC.
The Centre for Policy Alternatives filed a petition in the Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of the controversial Online Safety Bill.
The Centre for Policy Alternatives, along with its Executive Director Dr. Pakisothi Saravanamuthu, filed a petition in the Supreme Court yesterday challenging the constitutionality of the controversial Online Safety Bill. This bill, which was gazetted on the 15th of September 2023 and tabled in Parliament for its first reading on the 3rd of October, has been a subject of contention and concern among civil society organizations and legal experts. The crux of CPA's legal challenge hinges on the assertion that the bill in its entirety violates several articles of the Sri Lankan constitution, including entrenched provisions. Therefore, CPA contends that such a bill would require approval by the people through a referendum, in addition to being passed by 2/3 of the members of parliament voting in favour of it. CPA's petition further underscores the concern that the vaguely defined offences outlined in the bill, coupled with the extensive powers granted to the so-called Online Safety Commission, could have a chilling effect on the exercise of fundamental rights by the citizens of Sri Lanka.
National Foundation Day celebrations of the Republic of Korea was held in Colombo recently.
The Korean Embassy, led by Korean Ambassador Her Excellency Myeon Lee, hosted the National Foundation celebrations at the Republic of Korea in Colombo recently. The National Foundation Day was held in line with the 46th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between Korea and Sri Lanka. Delivering the opening remarks, Ambassador Myeon Lee engaged the audience on the values of Korea, upheld for years, respecting universal principles such as freedom, democracy, human rights and rule of law. Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Amaravira was the chief guest of the event. Several other politicians, state officials and diplomats participated in the event.
The Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable is expected to meet later today at the 2023 IMF and World Bank annual meeting.
News First, Zulfik Farzan, a special representative at the IMF and World Bank annual meetings in Marrakesh, Morocco, filed this exclusive report.
Well, the Sovereign Debt Roundtable discussions to discuss debt issues and debt restructuring issues of many countries, including Sri Lanka, will take place later this evening here in Marrakesh, Morocco. And this meeting will be chaired by the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund and will also see creditor nations as well as multilateral and bilateral creditors also taking part to reach an agreement or consensus on debt restructuring and debt issues of certain countries. Representing News First, the only Sri Lankan news agency here at the 2023 IMF and World Bank annual meetings in Marrakesh, Morocco, I'm Zulfik Farzan.
The IMF Managing Director spoke to reporters earlier in the day to comment on the common framework to tackle debt issues.
I say be firm and relentlessly pursue the objective of delivering for the countries that need debt restructuring, easing of the burden of debt. The common framework has been slow to deliver to countries that turn to it for support. But we see an encouraging sign that the time taken to reach an agreement among creditors is shortening with every step. It took 11 months for Chad, for the creditors of Chad, to provide the fund with financial assurances needed for us to help the country. So from our staff level agreement to going to board, 11 months. It took 9 months for Zambia, 6 months for Sri Lanka, 5 months for Ghana. And now we have discussions ongoing on Ethiopia, and I hope this trend will be sustained. We need to assess objectively and realistically. Debt cancellation requires all creditors to agree. Having the cacophony of creditors and their different configuration in every single case makes this excruciatingly difficult.
Meanwhile, a closed-door event titled Sri Lanka Pathways to Debt Sustainability and Governance Reform will be held today alongside the International Monetary Fund annual meetings in Marrakesh, Morocco, hosted by organizations connected to the Sri Lankan Civil Society Initiative on Anti-Corruption Reform for Economic Recovery. The event will focus on two key priorities in steering Sri Lanka to recovery from its debt crisis: the two recent governance diagnostics on Sri Lanka by civil society and the IMF, and the role of the IMF, the government and the country's creditors in achieving a successful and sustainable restructuring of Sri Lanka's debt. The Civil Society Governance Diagnostic Report on the anti-corruption landscape of Sri Lanka was released in mid-September. This was a comprehensive set of 34 governance reform recommendations for Sri Lanka aimed at addressing the root causes of Sri Lanka's current crisis. In late September, the IMF released its governance diagnostic on Sri Lanka, which is the first ever IMF governance diagnostic in Asia. These two governance diagnostics have the potential to establish a solid foundation for improving rule of law, transparency and accountability. They will be discussed at the event, as improvements in debt governance are vital to prevent countries from experiencing recurrent debt problems. The event will also delve deeper into the need for stricter debt sustainability targets, including significant haircuts with Sri Lanka's external creditors that would reduce the overall debt stock. IMF Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka, Peter Brewer, Verity Research Executive Director Dr. Nishan Dimel, Transparency International Sri Lanka Executive Director Nadishani Pereira, and Global Sovereign Advisory Senior Research Analyst Theo Moret will be speaking and answering questions. Invitees for this closed-door event include several executive directors of the IMF board, regional heads of multilateral institutions, a number of major stakeholders and professionals, and the top-ranking members of the Sri Lankan delegation to the IMF annual meeting in Marrakesh.
The Sri Lanka Business Council of Japan marked a significant milestone recently as it celebrated its 20th anniversary in Tokyo, Japan.
The occasion witnessed the gathering of guests including Rodney Pereira, the ambassador of Sri Lanka to Japan, and political figures such as State Minister of Investment Promotion Dilum Amunagama, Cabinet Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manusha Nanayakara, and Member of Parliament in Japan Yamaguchi Susumu, Koshio Masayoshi, Mayor of Ayase City, and Iwase Kichiro from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs added to the guest list. Additionally, numerous members of various associations in Japan and other VIP guests joined in the festivities. President Ranil Wickremesinghe addressed the gathering via a video message. The highlight of the 20th anniversary celebrations was the launch of the Global Federation of Sri Lanka Business Councils, also known as GFSLBC.
We're making history, and we're all going to be a part of it.
The aim of the Global Federation is to unite all Sri Lankan business councils worldwide under one umbrella organization, linking and strengthening global Sri Lankan business people in their businesses and supporting Sri Lanka during its economic recovery.
Hundreds of students and other professionals participated in various sessions at the National IT and Business Process Management Week 2023.
The National IT and BPM Week 2023 is being organized to raise awareness about the career opportunities available within the IT BPM sector and will continue until tomorrow.
National IT and BPM Week 2023 is organized under the banner of the National Future Talent Initiative. The National Future Talent Initiative is a collaborative endeavor involving industry leaders, esteemed members of academia and key government entities. This event is taking place from the 11th to the 13th of October at the BMICH in Colombo.
We have a career fair which is happening here for all students. What we are showcasing here is career awareness in the IT and BPM industry, where there's lots of opportunities for our young students and career seekers. We again have lots of industry sessions and career building sessions for them, along with counseling as well as mentorship.
The primary mission of the National IT and BPM Week is to foster the development of a future-ready workforce in line with Sri Lanka's vision for progress and global competitiveness within the technology sector.
Many extraordinary irregularities in the government's procurement process of medicine have come to light. The supply of a drug named human immunoglobulin to the state hospital system has received much criticism.
Today, the Health Minister has sought the advice of the Attorney General on the possibility of taking legal action against the company that supplied human immunoglobulin. Today, we bring to you another revelation regarding this matter, which affects the lives of every person in Sri Lanka.
The State Pharmaceuticals Corporation of Sri Lanka had purchased 22,500 vials of human immunoglobulin and had issued 3,000 vials to the Medical Supplies Division of the Health Ministry. Several patients at multiple hospitals who administered the drug had developed complications. Upon testing the stock of human immunoglobulin, it was revealed that the drug was not up to standard. In subsequent investigations, it was discovered that the drug was imported using the provisions of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority Act to deregister. According to the request of the Minister of Health or the Ministry, there is no obstacle in the law to bring medicines in this manner. However, the National Medicines Regulatory Authority said that the document submitted claiming that permission was received for such importation was fake. The address published by the supplier of the drug does not exist. How can drugs be supplied to state hospitals through forged documents and companies?
The National Medicines Regulatory Authority does not have any authority to purchase drugs. It has no involvement with it. Doctors are coming out and giving statements. Don't they know that the NMRA does not purchase even the most basic items? What will happen to the NMRA when such accusations are levelled? If you are accused of being a thief, you can respond saying no. Anyone can go to court against us.
What is the stance of the Medical Supplies Division? News First tried to contact the Deputy Director General of the Medical Supplies Division of the Ministry of Health, Dr. D.R.K. Herath, to inquire into the matter. However, he did not respond. What is the stance of the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation of Sri Lanka that purchased drugs for the Medical Supplies Division? News First was not able to get through to the officials of the SPC because they were attending the Committee on Public Accounts. Who is responsible for this issue? According to a letter sent by Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwalla to seek advice from the Attorney General, these drugs have been provided by a company known as Isolis Biotech Pharma AG. The Minister has requested the Attorney General's Counsel to take legal action against this company. The Health Minister's letter highlights that an investigation has revealed that the company failed to follow the proper procedures with the Drug Regulatory Authority regarding the importation of these drugs without proper registration. The company allegedly obtained permission to import the medicine by manipulating the Drug Regulatory Authority through fraudulent means and subsequently imported this vaccine stock. The Minister notes discrepancies in the order issued by the State Pharmaceutical Corporation in this matter and expressed concern that, despite such issues, the Medical Supplies Division proceeded to acquire this drug supply. This situation raises questions about the internal processes in place. The Minister has sought advice from the Attorney General on how to proceed. The situation is complicated by the discovery that this fraudulent company has supplied additional drugs to government hospitals. As a response, the Ministry of Health has immediately suspended the use of a cancer drug provided to government hospitals under the name of Isolis Biotech Pharma AG, specifically a drug named rituximab that is used in the treatment of cancer.
As of today, the Ministry of Health, responsible for safeguarding lives in this country, and semi-government institutions are engaged in a blame game, shirking their duties and failing to take responsibility. Each party insists that the responsibility does not lie with them. The NMRA comments on the contradictory immunoglobulin issue, and they are saying that this is not their responsibility. Specifically, their duty is to assess the quality of medicines imported to Sri Lanka within lab settings. The NMRA is tasked with conducting these lab tests to ensure the quality of medicines distributed to patients. It is upon them to acknowledge that they have not discharged this responsibility, particularly in the context of the drug procurement process and on the issue of immunoglobulin.
The Government Medical Officers Association also commented in this regard.
The Chief Executive Officer of NMRA should step down without delay, as this role holds immense importance. We came across human immunoglobulin due to complications, but how many medicines are ineffective? People take something, but their condition does not improve. Patients suffer even as they take medication.
The opposition leader also expressed his views today with regard to the controversy over medicines. It is a tragedy of the country that such huge, fraudulent and corrupt deals are being implemented based on the lives of these cancer patients. Not only the health minister but also the president and the 113 who voted to protect the health minister must be held accountable for this illegal drug trade. At this moment, the president can change the health minister and appoint another suitable person. Why is he not doing that? Is the health minister's peace of mind more important than putting an end to the fraud of bringing fake drugs? Why allow these thefts?
Speaking at a media briefing today, Chief Incumbent of the Mihintale Rajamahawihara, Venerable Dr. Valava Hangunavabe Dhammaratana Thero, said a new force will be created to build the country.
There are many new parties that are not represented in parliament. A number of those parties have made offerings to us, but we do not get involved with parties representing parliament, as it is a group of thieves. We'll announce the parties when the time comes. We will hold the Sangha Council soon and take this to a district level. We will unite people representing various sectors, and if there is a parliamentary election, we will face it too. If there is a presidential election, we are prepared to face that too. We can rebuild this country and finish it by going to parliament twice. We are ready to go on this journey by uniting all races. It was monks in the past that took the lead and created kings. Sometimes our monks were reverse ordained during the English rule. We need to save this country whether we are ordained or reverse ordained. These corrupt politicians have pushed the country to that situation. Look at the country's situation wisely.
Parliamentarian Dhammika Pereira, who recently stated that he is ready for the presidential candidacy, says that if there is a real desire to rebuild the country, the political parties must unite to garner 51% of the people's votes. The parliamentarian, who made these remarks at a press conference last night in Colombo, elaborated on it further.
කටින් රටවල් හදන්න හරිම ලේසි. ගොඩක් අය කරන්නේ ඒක නේ. රටේ හොඳ මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා. මේ 100.1ක් විතර නරක මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා.
It is very easy to talk about rebuilding the country. There are good people in this country. People focus only on the 1% of bad people in the country. No one talks about how the country should be rebuilt. I am trying to unite the politically divided country through knowledge. What do people expect through a division? What do you plan on doing with your political party ID? It means nothing. You believe that one person will be able to fulfill the country's needs. How can that that be done? What you do is give the responsibility to someone and waste 5 years. 75 such years were wasted. I will be contesting using my own funds. I will not be able to come to power unless I win. If the parties could garner 51% join me, I can contest the election. I cannot just contest the election like others, just the parties that can garner 51% would do. We don't need all the political parties. I believe that everyone should unite in order to rebuild the country. We have only one more year. I let you know that I will be contesting so that everyone could unite. I have done the math. I have experience in this. If I say it is 51%, I am right. It could even be 52%. I plan aiming for 60% and try to achieve 51%.
The chairman of the National Trade Union Centre, KD Lalkantha, expressed these views regarding the upcoming elections in Colombo today.
රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ නම දෙයක් නෑ. එයා පටන් ගත්ත ආපු දවසේ ඉඳන් එයාම මාකට් කරන්න ව්‍යාපෘතියක්.
Ranil Wickremesinghe doesn't have a public mandate. From the onset, he created a project to market himself as the next presidential candidate and prepared for it. Since we didn't have much time, we announced Anukumar Dissanayake as our candidate. The SLPP said they haven't decided on their candidate, but recently Dhammika Perera announced his candidacy, saying he is ready to contest if other parties unite and tell him that he is able to get 51% of the votes. Basil Rajapaksa and others in that party held talks with Ranil because they felt threatened and planned to remove the presidency through the constitution. If Anura is winning because it is better to wait 2 years for the parliamentary election than ending the term in 1 year, then they'll bring Ranil to parliament and the SLPP members and others in parliament will make him prime minister again through a vote. Then they'll think the JVP is also in favour of removing the presidency. We are now in favour of holding the presidential election with Dhammika Perera, another billionaire or anyone from your side. We know that the people of this country will vote for the compass and defeat them. If anyone has a better solution, we'll unite. There is no issue based on the politics we have learned. They will not hand over the candidacy or leave. Do we have to go to gaol face or use force? If we reach that point, will we need an election? Can't they be sent home? No one will be able to do anything. We will have to stay at home for a few days and ask them to leave. We will all have to do it for them to leave.
Sri Lanka and the China Exim Bank have reached an agreement on several main principles and terms related to the restructuring of the $4.2 billion debt.
In a statement, the Ministry of Finance says that this would help Sri Lanka's long-term debt sustainability and restore the economy. The government of Sri Lanka has praised the contribution and continuous support of China's Exim Bank to achieve public debt sustainability in accordance with the program of the International Monetary Fund. The government of Sri Lanka hopes that they will continue to engage with the Committee of Creditors and commercial creditors, including bondholders. According to the announcement issued by the Ministry of Finance, this agreement will help to obtain the approval of the Executive Board for the release of the second installment related to the IMF loan facility.
The United States naval ship Brunswick arrived at the port of Colombo on a formal visit.
The United States naval ship Brunswick, which is on a visit to Colombo, is scheduled to depart Sri Lanka on Sunday. The ship is manned by a crew of 24. Meanwhile, the controversial Xi'an 6 Chinese research and service ship is currently staying close to India's exclusive economic zone in the Bay of Bengal. The ship has requested permission to enter the Sea of Sri Lanka and the specific decision has not been reported yet. However, the Chinese ship has been engaged in some kind of observation or research process in the Indian Ocean region for a few weeks.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe delivered the keynote address at the 11th edition of the Galle Dialogue International Maritime Conference.
The conference is aimed at strengthening regional maritime cooperation and formulate a global strategy to face common challenges in the maritime domain. The conference emerged at the Jetwing Lighthouse Hotel today under the theme Emerging New Order in the Indian Ocean.
Indian Ocean is also a political entity which Asia Pacific, Indo-Pacific and BR aren't. It's from here many civilizations came. When Africa and all are trading, what is Sri Lanka's position? We are here located in the strategic, we have the strategic location. So if we develop our ports, We have Colombo as the big port, acting regional logistic hub. We are developing Trincomalee with India so that as the Eastern Indian Ocean develops, we are also benefiting from it. And we have Hambantota, because Hambantota means there are many ports that have been set up here in the Indian Ocean by the Chinese, by the Japanese, by others. So if you link up Hambantota with Africa, that's another commercial port. So how do you look at it? Those of us who know civilization and trade look at the long term. Those who don't look at it and ask, what on earth is this port funded by Chinese doing here in Hambantota? It obviously is a military base. So you have to understand how these issues operate. But ports are important. Remember that this part of the world will get control of the ports.
The final rites of the late Jackson Anthony, one of Sri Lanka's talented artists, was carried out this afternoon at the St. Peter and Paul's Church in Ragama.
The mortal remains of veteran actor Jackson Anthony were lying at his private residence in Kadavata until 2 in the afternoon today. Following the religious rituals, the body was taken to the St. Peter and Paul's Church in Ragama. A large number of people were gathered on both sides of the road to pay their last respects when the late actor's mortal remains were taken to the church. At the end of the funeral service held at Ragama St. Peter and Paul Church, late veteran actor Jackson Anthony's mortal remains were laid to rest in the presence of many sorrowful fans. Famed actor Jackson Anthony, we bid you farewell.
Sri Lanka Vanita Bimana 2023. The golden opportunity for the strong-willed women of Sri Lanka to be empowered to drive the nation forward is brought to you by News First and NDB.
Sri Lanka Vanita Bimana 2023, empowering women to drive a nation forward. Sri Lanka Vanita Abhimana, the only Sri Lankan program held to felicitate the courageous women in Sri Lanka, was successfully carried out in the years 2020, 2021 and 2022. Sri Lanka Vanita Abhimana is being held for the 4th consecutive year. Women are evaluated under 8 categories for the provincial level competition. At the ceremony held for the signing of an MOU, Director General Manager of News First, Yasarath Kamal Siri elaborated on the Vanita Abhimana initiative.
There are 8 categories under the industrial and professional competition this time: human resources, finance management, sales and marketing, state sector, tourism, arts, sports and entrepreneurship.
On behalf of NDB Bank, its Director, Chief Executive Officer Deemanda Senviratna participated in this event.
The NDB Bank is joining this initiative for the 4th year, despite the economic challenges and collapses in the financial system that we faced as a nation in recent times.
Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Shevan Daniel, addressed the gathering.
This is for the women who work tirelessly for this country to give them an opportunity. They should know they are not alone. For 4 years, the Vanita Abhimana project has been able to ensure women's rights and provide them with opportunities.
The head of the panel of judges of the Sri Lanka Vanita Abhimana Corporate and Professional Competition is the Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Senior Professor H.D. Karunaratna.
Unity, teamwork and networking. We can only overcome the challenges in the 21st century through these. We have to choose from among these with equal talent, sacrifices and skills.
Professor Priyanka Dunusingha is the head of the panel of judges of the Sri Lanka Vanita Abhimana provincial level competitions. Head of the political science department of the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura, Vishaka Surya Bandara, joined the press conference on behalf of the panel of judges.
By appreciating women in this manner, it not only breaks traditional barriers, it also takes forward the good aspects of tradition. This is a very timely effort.
The calling for applications for Sri Lanka Vanita Abhimana 2023 provincial level competitions is set to commence tomorrow. Applications are now available on www.newsfirst.lk and NDB branches across the island.
The 33rd day of the second phase of the LOLC Davia program was held yesterday.
Under this worthy initiative, students of schools with less than 100 students were gifted school books and stationery items. Yesterday's program was carried out in the Batiklo district. Under this, students of the Al Iqbal Vidyalaya, Firith Hos Vidyalaya, Hayrath Vidyalaya, Hussainiya Vidyalaya, Muhuddin Vidyalaya, Khanke-e-Nod Hizbullah Vidyalaya, Karbala Al-Manar Vidyalaya, Kake-e-Nodai Ikra Vidyalaya were gifted school books and stationery items this morning. School books and stationery items were also gifted to students at the Padaripu Zonal Education Office in Batiklo. The LOLC Davia program will continue to create a bright future for the country's student population.
Davia, the second leg of the Davia program to provide much needed school books and stationery items to school children in Sri Lanka. 13th of October, Sammanture, Akkare Pattu.
Dai Daruwange Anagate Winuwin Davia, LOLC Prajasatkara Mehevara.
News first with the people.
Fox Jaffna. Fox Jaffna, a Sri Lankan hotel in the heart of Jaffna, won the award for leading heritage resort at SATA Awards 2023.
The 7th annual South Asian Travel Awards ceremony was held in Bangalore, India on the 10th of October. SATA is an annual event that recognizes and celebrates excellence in the travel and tourism industry across South Asia. This year the evaluation session was conducted in the Maldives, Sri Lanka, India, Nepal and Bangladesh with a panel of international jury members. SATA has been endorsed by over 18 international and government agencies for its work to elevate tourism and hospitality in the region. Fox Jaffna, a Sri Lankan hotel in the heart of Jaffna, was honoured with the award for leading heritage hotel resort at the 7th annual South Asian Travel Awards ceremony. The award was accepted by the group director and COO for the Capital Maharaja Group, Ms. Nidra Virasinghe.
There are 45 categories, and there are actually 45 categories and 5 countries represented, and there were a number of 750 odd applicants. So Sri Lanka has done well with the other properties participating, but truly for a boutique size property of our kind, I am extremely proud and very happy to say, and I am very happy to be part of a team that has done exceptionally well in such a short time.
Veteran Sri Lankan hotelier Refan Razin was adjudged South Asia's Best Hotel General Manager at the South Asian Travel Awards.
The general manager of the Shangri-La Hotel in Hambantota, Refan Razin, was adjudged the winner of the award for South Asia's Best General Manager at the South Asian Travel Awards known as SATA on Tuesday night in Bangalore. He returned to Sri Lanka early this morning. Razin has more than 30 years' experience in the hospitality industry and has held the post of general manager in several prestigious five-star properties at many of the largest hotel chains in Sri Lanka and also overseas.
The official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023.
South Africa took on Australia at the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup 2023 in Lucknow today. Cricket fans can watch all the action of the World Cup via the MTV-MBC networks, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament. The matches are being streamed live on www.sirasatv.lk. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Primetime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayake.
And I'm Peruni Karnaratna. Take care. Good night.